All right, sports fans, it's time for another edition of the Sports Couch, a look at area sports through the eyes of a local athlete, coach, or superfan. The Sports Couch is made possible by People's National Bank, a full-service bank with multiple locations throughout Southern Illinois to serve you. People's National Bank, member FDIC, and an equal housing lender. And made possible by Mount Vernon Title Company, your real estate closing professionals. When you need real estate closings, title searches, contract for deed, or any other legal real estate document, depend upon Mount Vernon Title Company. Who will be on the couch this morning? Let's find out. On this edition of the Sports Couch, we're going to talk Fairfield Mules football with head coach Justin Townsend of the Mules. Fairfield had a big homecoming game last week in week number 6. Flora Wolves came to town, an old NEC rival, now together in the Black Diamond Conference. Mules came away with a big 20-6 victory, and really, if you look at the offensive stats, they really dominated the game, had twice the amount of total yardage as the Wolves, and just really played a superb football game. And, Coach, you got to be happy the way the Mules played, especially in front of that big crowd.
Yeah, great effort. On both sides of the ball, like you mentioned, we doubled them up in yardage, doubled them up in first downs. Actually, forced some turnovers. Really played a complete game. Would have liked to have put a few more touchdowns on the board. To Flora's credit, they kept themselves in the game, making the plays when they needed to. But, just really proud of our guys. This has been a tough stretch for us for a lot of different reasons. We've had some injuries. We've had some other things happen within our team, and our kids have just been battling. They've continued to fight, and, and I feel like we've improved each week. It just hadn't shown on the scoreboard yet. We've actually played pretty well, and to finally get, reward ourselves and get that W and get back on track and feel like maybe we're in a position where we have a shot, a legitimate shot maybe here winning out and finishing 6-3, which is where we hope to be. That definitely felt good.
Yeah, you're 3-3 on the season now, and we'll get to those other 3 games here in a moment. Flora is also 3-3. El Dorado is also 3-3, but you, of course, have beaten both of those teams. But, yeah, that Flora team, holding them to 6 points is so big defensively because that's a Wolves team that's actually been scoring quite a few points this year.
Yeah, they've put points up on everybody, Johnston City included. The Massey kid's a heck of a running back, just a sophomore. He's going to be a good one. Helm, quarterback, just a junior, makes a lot of plays with his feet, with his arm. They got some good weapons receiving-wise. We were super concerned. I mean, we just didn't know how this would go. But then we also felt like we had a really good defensive game plan. We felt like we were going to be able to run the football and kind of keep the ball out of their hands, limit their possession time, which we did that. We really did execute the game plan well. Like I said, we had the ball, we drove the ball, flipped the field a couple times. We didn't necessarily score, but we did flip the field position, and that was huge. And, I felt like, all day we were, we didn't necessarily sack their quarterback, but we hurried him, we pressured him, essentially eliminated their running game, kind of made them one-dimensional. And, I just thought our defense played well. And it was hot. It was 86 degrees, 87, whatever it was on an October afternoon. And, I think that was a factor into it, too. We had played in several games where it's just been a battle. It's been a bloodbath for 4 quarters. And so our kids are battle-tested, even though we haven't been able to, like I said, get those W's. We had been in games like that, where we just had to gut it out. And so I think that definitely helped us down the stretch in that game.
Well, you mentioned last week on the show about the Mules' inability to force turnovers this season, but in the game against Flora, you forced 2 turnovers, and that was big.
Yeah, Austin Grieve, our sophomore corner, stepped up big for us, had a pick, also had a big catch late in the game that kind of sealed it for us. And then Jude Carter, he's taken over a quarterback for us. And then we also just, he had been starting a corner for us in the beginning of the year. And once he started at quarterback, we had taken him off defense, but we just felt like, with how much of a threat they are to throw the football, we had to put him back out there at corner, and we're glad he did. He was able to get us an interception, and that was actually set up off a pass rush, I think, by Brayton Robertson, one of our defensive ends, hit him just as he threw it, so he underthrew it and got an interception for us. So, I mean, we had been stressing on that, that we needed to force some turnovers because I don't think we had forced one in our 3 losses, and that was really a big difference in the outcome of the game, those 3 games, we felt like. So it felt good to do that because that's something that we had prided ourselves on when we were having a lot of success here in the last few years, is forcing turnovers, and we just hadn't done that yet. So it felt good to go out and make some things happen defensively because obviously that your team feeds off those. Those are big momentum swings, and I think those were definitely factors in the game.
Well, last weekend was also big because you had a 30-year reunion of your 1994 Mules football team that were NEC champions. You were a member of that football team, and looking at the team photo of the guys that came back, I'm impressed with how many guys were there for that reunion. That was great.
Oh, man,
that was great.
We had an unbelievable turnout. We had guys from Arizona, California, Florida, Montana. I mean, we had guys all over, and that just, one, it shows the love that we have for Coach Hadfield, but two, just the type of team that we had and how close we were, and it worked too that we had a Saturday homecoming game. It doesn't always work that way.
Right.
It's a lot more difficult to get everybody together for a Friday. So it was so awesome. I mean, and then we got together that night at the Elks Club for dinner, and I think we ended up with close to 30 players and coaches, and I think we, total we had around 38. So very, very good turnout, and I mean, we had so many stories, and it was just a tremendous weekend, and there really wasn't much better than as our players walked out for the game, we had the 94 team on both sides, waiting for our guys to come up the stairs and give our guys the 5, and I think that was, definitely an extra shot in the arm for our guys, and Coach Hadfield right there. So, you can't help but win when they were there. You don't want to lose with the 94 team there. So.
Right. Well, I'm sure Coach Hadfield had to be excited with how many guys returned too from that team.
Oh, absolutely. I think he was on cloud 9 the whole weekend, and as I said, he's an administrator out in California. He's got one more year, and he still has some ties here. His son Thor works down in Carbondale, and Coach Hadfield's mom is still alive and lives down in Carterville area, I believe. So,
oh wow, that's great.
Awesome. So occasionally he still does get back here, but it'll be interesting to see what he does when he does retire next year. But it was a great weekend. We just had a great homecoming weekend in general. Right. It wasn't just that. We had so many reunions and things like that. And then on top of that, to be able to get the win over Flora was really topped off the weekend. Absolutely.
Well, again, the Mules are now 3-3 on the season. Week 7, you go on the road to Christopher Ziegler Royalton. They're 0-6, but again, that's a team that has scored on everybody this year except Johnson City, I think. So they can put some points up, so you can't take them lightly, can you?
No, I mean, I look at the Saveda kid at quarterback, and I mean, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league, no question. They have a really nice couple of receivers, good running back. I mean, offensively, they can score points, and they can score points in a hurry. I mean, that Carmi game, they had Carmi on the heels a little bit first quarter, so and then Carmi obviously took control. So we got to be ready to go. It's going to be their homecoming. They're going to be amped up, and we can't have a letdown after a big win. We just have to take care of business, and 1 week at a time. Christopher's the next one. We got to check off, and then we're going to have Hamilton County for senior night, and then we finish off with Edwards County. So, we're in a good spot. We control our own destiny, but we can't look too far ahead. And like I said, we are focused on Christopher solely right now, and that's who we've been preparing for. Kind of the good thing is they do some things very similar to what Flora did as far as spread and running the football, how they run it, how they pass it. Very athletic quarterbacks. So really, we haven't had to tweak too much with the game plan defensively. So that has definitely been a positive for us.
And one more question real quick. Health-wise, how are the Mules going into Week 7?
Actually, we're getting some guys back, so that's exciting. We're going to have most of our guys back that aren't season-ending injuries. So probably the healthiest we've been in a month. So that's exciting, and it's able to start, maybe we're able to start putting the pieces back together a little bit, so to speak, and we're not, it's not a mash unit, so to speak, and putting different guys in different spots and trying to figure out what we can do. We're actually able to have a little bit of stability this week, so that's been a nice change, and maybe we're getting healthy at the right time, and we still feel like our best football is ahead of us. I think at times, I will say that I think Saturday was our best defensive effort of the year, but I still feel like we can play better. So, and I think offensively, we've had to kind of find our identity a little bit. But anytime you have a change up at quarterback in the middle of the season and you lose a couple of running backs, you're going to have to reevaluate some things.
Sure.
And we're starting to figure that out. And the one thing that we've been lucky to stay intact is our offensive line, our offensive line. And I think we're starting to figure out who we want to play at tight end and figure out which backs we want at which spot. So I think, this will be really the first week that we feel like we got guys in the right spot, since week one. Mm-hmm. So, we're excited, and we feel like our best football is ahead of us. And like I said, Christopher's the next team in line, and hopefully we can go down on the road and take care of business and put ourselves in a really good spot for senior night next week with Hamco.
Yeah, you bet. Well, Coach, again, congratulations on the win against Flora, and best of luck as you take on Christopher this weekend, all right? Thanks for your time.
All right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Bye-bye.